What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Jeffrey Okudah, Detroit Lions' third pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Is he the next Stephon Gilmore? Let's get it started. Welcome in, everybody, to another video, and today I'm going to be sort of reacting to an article and giving my thoughts based on this article title that I saw. So every year, basically every single year, people will always put out comparisons from rookie players to players that are currently in the NFL. I don't know if I'm going to do that on this channel or not. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I could. If y'all want to see that, we definitely could. But I came across this article. Now, this has been someone that Jeffrey Okudah has been compared to a lot. And that's been like his pro comparison of his ceiling, because there's always a ceiling, and then there's a floor, and then there's somewhere in between. And you pick two players, right? Oh, at the worst, he's going to be like this. At the best, he could be like this. And the best is usually Stephon Gilmore. Obviously, he's not going to be the floor, because if you don't know who Stephon Gilmore is, I don't know what you're doing, all right? I know you may not like the Patriots, but Stephon Gilmore is that dude. If there's one guy, I think I even put this down. Like, if there's one guy I could put on our team, it would probably be Stephon Gilmore other than a DT. You know, those are the two positions I've looked at. If there's any player in the league, it'd probably be Gilmore or a defensive tackle. Someone to get pressure or another corner. Because of how much we utilize cornerbacks and man-to-man, having the best man-to-man corner in the team would be pretty awesome. It would be pretty awesome. But let's talk about him. So Stephon Gilmore, a brief little summary of Gilmore in last season, because last season was like his year where everybody started to know who he was. Last season, he was the defensive player of the year. He had 6 interceptions. He led in pretty much every single advanced stat you could think of for a cornerback position. The dude was an absolute monster last year. He was drafted back in 2012 by the Buffalo Bills, pick number 10, and yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. An all-pro corner for back-to-back years. So yeah, Stephon Gilmore is a very good player. So to say that Jeff Okudah has the potential to be Lions Stephon Gilmore is a great thing. That's a very big compliment. And when you watch these players, I see a lot of similarities. But before we get into that, I wanted to go back and look at Stephon Gilmore. Okay, what was he like in college? What was he like coming out of into the draft, right? What was he like then? What did people think of him? Because if it's similar to what they thought with Jeffrey Okudah, maybe that adds more reason to why these guys are more similar. Because for me to look at what he did last year is a lot different from what he did, you know, coming out of college. So coming out of college, he went to South Carolina. One thing that I saw was interesting, he actually started as a true freshman with South Carolina. Starting as a true freshman at cornerback, that's not easy to do, but he started as a true freshman. He was ranked the second best cornerback in that class by most people. Second best cornerback. He was drafted as a second cornerback in the draft. Morris Claiborne went first. I don't know what pick Morris Claiborne went, but he was with the Dallas Cowboys. He's definitely not Stephon Gilmore. Draft profile was incredible. He ran a 4.4 40, a 4.4 flat 40. That's incredible. He was 6'1.5" inches tall. He was 190 pounds, and he had a 36-inch vertical. Really good at South Carolina. He was an absolute monster, and he started pretty much every year there. Then he was drafted by the Buffalo Bills with pick number 10. So obviously a top 10 draft pick. And usually when you take cornerbacks in the top 10, top 5, you're expecting these guys to be really, really good. Every once in a while you'll get a bust. But most times when you select a cornerback really high, there's really high expectations, because we've seen a lot of really good secondary players go that high. We've seen Denzel Ward recently, Jalen Ramsey, some of those guys, and those guys have ended up being really good. So when you take them that high, you're expecting these guys to come in and have immediate impact, and in a few years probably be a Pro Bowl type of player. That's what we're hoping with Jeffrey Okudah, knowing that we selected him at number 3. Not number 10, like Stephon Gilmore, number 3 in the draft. There's a lot of high expectations. Go back and look and see, okay, well, coming out of college, what did they think of Stephon Gilmore? What did he do well? What did he not do well? Listen to this. Here are our strengths and weaknesses. Starting off on the strengths, they said he has that speed, right? The 4.4 40. He has track speed. That's pretty darn fast. I mean, obviously that's good. Jeffrey Okudah ran a 4.48, which I think some people looked at it and said, oh, that was a little slow. It's still very fast, all right? That's still extremely fast. I mean, that's like one more step, maybe. Come on, man. That's still really fast. He's a physical corner. He played bigger than his size. He was 6 foot, 190. Not the biggest guy. Actually, that's smaller than Jeffrey Okudah. Jeffrey Okudah is 6'1", 205 pounds. So a little bit smaller, but they said he played bigger. He was a physical corner that could come up and help in the run, against the run, which is obviously huge. You know, for a lot of teams, they love to have their corners be able to tackle, because they can't tackle, and sometimes there's limitations there. But the guys that are willing to tackle, those are huge for cornerbacks. And he played against the best competition. He playing at South Carolina, playing in a good conference in the SEC. He played against good competition week in and week out. Again, his weaknesses is where it's really interesting. One of the weaknesses they listed was his press ability, and that's kind of weird, but I guess that's just what you see in college. You know, you don't really get to know a full potential of a player until you see him in the NFL and by what team they bring him in, because, you know, in college, he may not have done a lot of press or looked that great in press. They may have tried to put him in different situations and he thrived there. But then once you see him in the NFL for a team like the Patriots who do mix in the press, you see that he might be the best press corner in the league, which is it's just wild. That was one of the weaknesses, but they said he could get coached to be better there. And I guess he did. I guess Bill Belichick figured it out, or the Bills figured it out. I don't know. Someone did. They figured it out. They said another weakness was his instincts, his route recognition, to go make plays on the ball, to come up with a lot of interceptions. That's really interesting, and I'll tell you why in a second. And tight schemes. They said he would excel in the zone. Well, he probably would have, but he also excelled in man. Now, I wanted to compare that to what I saw from the same company that made that strengths and weaknesses list, what they said about Okudah. Listen to this. First strength, his size, right? Just like Stephon Gilmore, physicality. His physicality's there. Same thing. He's willing to help and run support. That's a huge reason that the Lions wanted him, because they need cornerbacks that can help and tackle on the outside. That's huge. Next one was the competition. Like I said, with Stephon Gilmore, played in the SEC. We saw Jeffrey Okudah play in the Big Ten. And they also played in some really big games in the college football playoff, right? They played Clemson, who had T. Higgins. They played Michigan, who had Nico Collins. They played Penn State, who had KJ Hamler. I don't know how much he matched up with him. But the Big Ten still has some good competition. They still have some good wide receivers. Maybe not the best, but they have some really good ones almost every single week. I mean, when you look at certain conferences, like the Power 5 conferences, that is your best chance to get a player that's going against competition week by week. But really, I would say the main two conferences that you're going to see competition week in and week out is not the ACC, not that. It's the Big Ten and the SEC. That's where it's week in and week out. You're probably playing NFL talent, at least most of the time, at least till you get in conference play. And then obviously, if you get to the playoff and stuff like that. So quick feet, right? His quick feet, we know about the footwork. That was something huge. And I actually saw that as one of the weaknesses of Stephon Gilmore. That was kind of weird. That was on a different site, but that's what they said. I was like, okay. Another one of his strengths is the ability to drop down and press. Again, a weakness there for Stephon Gilmore. And his final strength was his fluid play, right? He's fluid hips, fluid feet, everything just kind of plays really well. And obviously that's huge in being a cornerback. Now, his weaknesses, there was only a couple of them. They only had like 2 weaknesses on there because they said this is like one of the best cornerbacks they've ever looked at. But their weaknesses were that he only had 3 interceptions last year. Okay, well, I guess, okay. They said he only had 3 interceptions, so his ball hucking skills may be lacking. I mean, I guess that's something, I guess I can see where you're coming from a little bit. That kind of goes to the instincts with Stephon Gilmore, so that's very similar. There wasn't many cons or weaknesses that they were able to find for Jeffrey Okudah. There wasn't a lot there. But what's interesting about the 3 interceptions thing is, one thing that I've learned is that when you're in a man-to-man defense, a lot of times you get way less interceptions. And now Matt Patricia had this, and this is really interesting. This is another stat I came across, and this was on the article. They said this. In 2019, the Lions played 336 snaps in man coverage, the most in the NFL. In man coverage, Detroit Lions allowed 23 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. Now, the interceptions probably won't be very high because, again, in man, 3 interceptions, you're not going to get a lot. So we don't need him to get a lot of interceptions. It's the touchdowns that's very concerning. Matt Patricia also said this. I always love when man coverage and our team gets thrown around a little bit because that means some of the zone coverages we are playing are disguised pretty good. Patricia told NBC Sports. So I enjoy that. That's always good. That's always good for me when that's out there. And when you watch Detroit Lions, they do mix in zones pretty well. Like, it looks like a man because they do it over and over and over. Then all of a sudden they mix in a zone. And that's why I've had a lot of confidence to do corners, because Jeffrey Okudah is a man-to-man guy coming out of college, right? He is ready for man-to-man. Desmond Druott's a man-to-man corner. Justin Coleman, man-to-man corner. These guys are set and built for the man-to-man defense. And that's why I think we're going to see a huge improvement in the secondary because, that's what Matt Patricia wants to do. And that's what the cornerbacks here now do at their highest level. So could Jeffrey Okudah be the next Stephon Gilmore? I really hope so. I mean, I would probably cry if he was like Stephon Gilmore. But if he's anywhere near that, that'd be awesome. I will say, I don't know if he will be or not, but there are a lot of similarities in their play style, their stats. They don't blitz a ton, right? They're not blitzing a ton and not getting a ton of tackles. If you look at Stephon Gilmore's stats last year, 0 sacks, 0 tackles for loss. They're not coming to the quarterback much. It's play man-to-man and lock down your guy. And that's something that Jeffrey Okudah has been known for really since high school. I mean, if you go watch this high school video I put together, I mean, it was something he's always been known for. So could he be the next Stephon Gilmore? Hopefully. I see a lot of similarities. And Stephon Gilmore is a beast. If there's one player that I could probably add to the Lions, it would either be a really good defensive tackle or it would be Stephon Gilmore, because having that guy at the cornerback position would be awesome. So hopefully he is. I think he's going to come in with a huge role like Stephon Gilmore. Like for Gilmore, he came into the Bills, he was their number 1 corner right away. They're like, yeah, you're a number 1. Every year, you're a number 1. Jeffrey Okudah is probably going to come in Detroit and at least be the number 2 cornerback. I don't see him being any further than that. So, yep, we'll see what it turns out to be, but hopefully Jeffrey Okudah is the next Stephon Gilmore. Do you think he will be? I'm going to say yes, hopefully, optimistically. I just hope he's great. If you're Stephon Gilmore level, that's something else. That's Hall of Fame level. If you're great, though, I'm happy. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.